Hello, everyone. Welcome into week 12 of the NFL season. Oh, God, it's flying by. And week 13 of the NCAAF football season. That sucks to say out loud, but you know what doesn't suck? Our friends at bet365. You can find out why. It's never ordinary at bet365. They have over 90 million worldwide users, and that many people cannot be wrong. That's just facts. They stream pretty much every event, and they have the widest range of live sports to bet on, and you can use code PHLY365 at sign up. Get yourself $150 in bonus bets after a $10 deposit and a $5 wager. So we'll take that $150 in bonus bet, and we're going to roll it into hopefully some more winnings for you. And the pledge I make to you is I am not a handicapper. I am a man that likes to bet on football and other such things. And one of my bets from my bonus bets earlier this summer was Jamar Chase to be the NFL receiving leader. And they had me a cash out offer the other day of like almost 4-1. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take that because there's too many variables left in the final 7 weeks of the season. And what if the Bengals shut it down at some point here? So I took that cash out, and hopefully we can turn that into some more winnings. So check out Bet365. It's awesome. Let's get into this week's slate. Of course, Thursday night football this week is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns in an AFC North matchup. But as always, we'll start with a couple league trends. Double-digit favorites this year are a perfect 5-0 straight up and against the spread this year, making the first time they've been undefeated outright through 11 weeks since 2004 when they were 8-0. Only the second time in the past 40 years. A couple of those spreads, at least two of them, have been the Detroit Lions, who we've gone over, are just a cover force right now. So if you see the Lions as a double-digit favorite, just take them and don't think too hard about it. Teams to allow 300. This one blew my mind. Teams to throw for 300 or more passing yards this season have just covered they're 16, 20, and 2 against the spread. They're only covering 44% of the action. Over a full season, that would be the lowest against the spread mark since 2003 and the third lowest of the wild card era. For whatever reason, the air raid in the NFL this year is not leading to tremendous success in gambling. So take that for what you will. Let's dive into tonight's game. There's a couple player props I really like on this one, and I cooked up a nice plus $1,400 parlay that I'm sure we're going to hit on, right? Well, I did put it in last night, so let's root it in. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers currently are a 3.5-point favorite at the Cleveland Browns tonight. You can grab the Browns on the money line at plus 160. Over-under on this one is a putrid 37. The Steelers are 8-2 in their last 10 games against the spread. The Cleveland Browns, on the inverse of that, are 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games. On the road, on any games played on a Thursday, the Steelers are just 5-17 straight up and 9-13 against their spread in franchise history. Since 1980, they are 3-14 straight up, 5-12 against the spread. That is not good. The Steelers have never won a road divisional Thursday night football game. They're 0-7 straight up, 1-6 against the spread all time, and 0-5 straight up, 1-4 against the spread under Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is 2-8 straight up on the road in Thursday night football. Now, a lot of that I probably won't hold against him when he's throwing out Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. Some of those numbers got skewed by some bad quarterback play. Nighttime, Russell Wilson used to be the king of primetime action. Lately, not so much for old Russ. Maybe he gets a little sleepy in his old age. Maybe he's missing Sierra. I don't know. Whatever it is, he's not good at nighttime lately. He started his career 24-7-3 against the spread in night games while with the Seahawks. Since 2012 to 2018, during that time, that's when he was that. He is 9-16 since 2018. Not good. He's just 9-16 against the spread in night games since. The 24-7-3 mark was the best in the NFL the 8-16 mark is the second worst out of 90 quarterbacks qualified, only ahead of Tom Brady. So Russell Wilson, maybe it's Sundowners. Maybe he's losing it late. Thursday night road games, that's a low total, 37. It's not been friendly to Mike Tomlin and the Steelers in his career. The Steelers have just one outright win since 2008 on Thursday Night Football. Underdogs in the AFC North, though, they have been a cash cow. They are 48-31 against the spread. That's 61% of the time since 2018. That is the best of any division. They're 500 against the spread or better in 7 straight seasons, and they're 26-16 against the spread since 2021. AFC North underdogs are smart bets. The Steelers lost to the Browns straight up and against the spread in their last meeting back in November of last year. Pittsburgh hasn't lost consecutive straight up and against the spread games versus Cleveland since 1999 and the year 2000. NFL totals of 37 or less are 33, 15, and 1. 69%, which is very nice. To the under since 2020. Those totals are 28, 19, and 2 to the first half under during that span, but are just 2, 6, and 1 in 2024. So that over-under total is low for a reason because there's a huge trend of these games going under. All right, like a couple things tonight. David Njoku, we're going with an anytime touchdown, plus 300. For this reason, since Jameis Winston has taken over quarterbacking the Browns, he has targeted David Njoku 7 times, 9 times, and 7 times. And last weekend, while he didn't get a touchdown per se, he did get targeted in a 2-point conversion, meaning there's some goal line packages for him. So if Jameis Winston gets down there around the goal line, I think David Njoku has a decent chance to get in the end zone. The game before, when Deshaun Watson got hurt, David Njoku was targeted 15 times. So he's kind of been a target machine for the Browns the last 4 weeks. Hopefully that continues inside the red zone tonight. Another one I like, Najee Harris, over 67.5 rushing yards. Cleveland has been getting gashed on the ground this season. They've allowed 11 rushing touchdowns and are allowing 4.5 yards per carry through 10 games. So I like Najee Harris to get his over. I cooked up a little same-game parlay in this one. A lot of trends there against Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, but I do like the Steelers to cover this one. The Browns' defense is not good. That used to be their backbone they could rely on. Jameis Winston is hilarious, yet not somebody I really care to bet on. Russell Wilson looked a little normal last weekend after a really good game the week prior, but give me the Steelers on the short week, even though the underdog in the AFC North trend is probably one you shouldn't ignore. So I'll share that same game parlay at the end here. All right, NCAA football. This is a big weekend if you're an Indiana Hoosiers fan because they have maybe the most important game in Indiana football history. They're an interesting case. They're number 5 in the country. They are undefeated. They don't have any good wins. Their strength of schedule is not great. Their best win so far on the season is beating a Michigan team that is not that good anymore. Ohio State has some nice wins. They beat Penn State. They lost by 1 to Oregon earlier this year in what was a great game. They're number 2 in the country, and they find themselves a 13.5-point favorite on Bet365 right now. If you think the Indiana Hoosiers can pull this off, you can get them on the money line, plus 390. Over-under on this one comes in at 51.5. Ohio State has beaten Indiana in 21 consecutive football games, but Coach Cignetti for the Indiana Hoosiers has completely transformed this team and roster thanks to the transfer portal. So this is a game. Ohio State is 9-1. They're defeating their opponents by an average of 28 points per game, which comes in number 2 in FBS, while ranking top 10 on each side of the ball in success rate, EPA per play, and points per scoring opportunity. Indiana, while their strength of schedule isn't great, they're no pushover. Indiana's offense has been one of the most potent units in the country. They're ranking 2nd in success rate at 55.5%, 4th in EPA per play, and they're scoring 40.2 points per game on average. Their defense is also ranked 15th overall and 4th in EPA per play and 6th in suppressing explosive plays. So Indiana is no slouch. Ohio State on the year is 8-3 against the spread in its last 11 games at home. The under has hit in 7 of Ohio State's last 8 games versus top 25 scoring defenses. And Ohio State is 6-2 in its last 8 games versus top 25 scoring defenses. I'm going to take the Indiana Hoosiers in this one. I just feel like Coach Cignetti's got these boys fired up. One of the biggest games in program history. It's going to be a lot of fun. I assume College Game Day is out there. Top 5 matchup and all that. So give me the points. I think it's fun to bet the dog in this situation. Ohio State has historically been one of the teams I love to bet. But for some reason, I'm going to go Hoosiers in this one. All right, next up is a huge game for Ole Miss. And by the way, if Indiana loses, not that they should be knocked out of the college playoff picture, but there's a good chance they will be because of their strength of schedule, and this is the biggest game to date. Likewise, a big game for Ole Miss. Got to win pretty much here on out and get to the SEC championship game. Number 9, Ole Miss is a 10-point favorite at Florida. You can get Florida at plus 300 on the money line. Over-under is 55.5. Now, Florida's starting freshman quarterback, DJ Lagway, returned last week from the hamstring injury that held him out the week prior, and they've been competing pretty well with him under center. The Gators defense is allowing on average 399 yards and 26 points per game. Both are 15th out of 16 teams in the SEC. So that's not good. And the Ole Miss Rebels, well, they're dropping nearly 400 yards of offense per game. They dropped 400 on a much more talented Georgia Bulldog defense. What could they be capable of versus one of the worst SEC defenses? Well, there's a big trend in this one. There have been 7 double-digit road favorites in the SEC so far this season, and only one of them has covered. Ole Miss at South Carolina, where the Rebels beat the Gamecocks 27-3 as a 10-point road favorite. 2 of those double-digit road favorites lost outright. So if you're a believer in trends, this is not a good spot for Ole Miss, but spin zone, Ole Miss is the only team to do it. So maybe you want to roll with them. Florida games have gone under in 3 of the last 4. Ole Miss has gone under in all but 1 game this season versus SBF competition. Ole Miss is 3-1 against the spread this season as a road favorite. Florida is 3-2 against the spread as a home dog. Florida is 4-2 in SEC games against the spread this season. Give me Ole Miss. That offense is fun. That Florida defense stinks. I'll take them to cover the 10 points. And give me the over in this one, 55.5. This Ole Miss offense is a lot of fun to watch. All right, for you local yokels, the Penn State Nittany Lions are traveling to Minnesota this weekend. Penn State is 11.5-point favorite. You can get the Golden Gophers plus 350 on the money line. Over-under on this one is 45. All right, the Nittany Lions have won 2 straight after losing to Ohio State, outscoring Washington and Purdue a combined 84-16 after its 20-13 loss versus Ohio State, which they probably shouldn't have lost. PSU, a big reason for their success is they are shutting teams down in the second half. Since their bye week, they've held Wisconsin to 3 second-half points, Ohio State to 6, Washington to 6, and Purdue to just 7. Only one of those second halves went over 24 points total, which was last week at Purdue. Penn State has been responsible for 28 of the 35 second-half points. So they are shutting teams down in the second half. Penn State is 5-5 against the spread and 3-1 against the spread as a road favorite. Minnesota is 7-2-1 against the spread, ranking for 7th best in the nation in terms of against the spread success. Minnesota is 2-1-1 against the spread as an underdog and 1-1-1 against the spread as a home underdog. Penn State is 7-3 to the under this year, ranking 7th best in the country to the under. And Minnesota is 5-5 on the total, 2-1 to the under as a home underdog. That being said, give me Penn State to cover the 11.5 this weekend. I'll take the Nittany Lions in this spot. Next up, another top 25 matchup. The BYU Brigham Young squad is heading to Arizona State to take on the Sun Devils. BYU is +3 coming off a loss, and Arizona State is -150 on the money line. Over-under on this one is 48.5. BYU is 7-3 against the spread on the year. For you math majors out there, that comes out to 70%. I know how to take percentages from 10. Arizona State is 8-2. Guess what, guys? Same math applies. That's 80% against the spread in 2024. BYU is 4-0 against the spread as an underdog this season and 3-0 as a road underdog. Arizona is 5-0. Guess what, guys? I'm going to do some more math for you. That's 100%. Against the spread as a favorite this year and 4-0 as a home favorite. BYU is 4-1 against the spread on the road. Arizona 5-0 against the spread at home. BYU is 5-1 against the spread in its last 6 road games. We're getting a lot of conflict here. Something's got to give. Arizona State is 5-1 against the spread in its last 6 games overall. The total has gone over in 5 of 6 of BYU's last road games, and the total has gone over in Arizona State's last 8 games at home. I do like the over in this one. I'll take the over 48.5, and if I have to pick on the money line, give me the Arizona State -3. Maybe buy that down to 2.5 for you a little bit. All right, 2 games remaining this weekend, and this is a do-or-die game for the Army Black Knights. This should be pretty cool television. The number 19 Army Black Knights are 14.5-point dogs, and if you think they can pull this one off in front of touchdown Jesus, you can get them +500 on the money line right now on bet365. Notre Dame is number 6 in the country. The over-under on this one comes in at 44.5. Since Notre Dame had a brutal loss to Northern Illinois back in early September, the Irish have now reeled off 8 straight games, and they're winning those 8 straight games by an average margin of 32.5 points. Notre Dame has covered in 5 straight, all against double-digit spreads. So big spreads is not foreign territory for the Fighting Irish. Army is just one of 3 remaining FBS unbeatens, along with Oregon and Indiana. And the Black Knights cover rate of 81.5% is the best in the nation. The Notre Dame defense is only allowing 11 points per game and beat the other Service Academy Navy earlier this year quite handedly at the Meadowlands, 51-14. So will they have mercy versus the Service Academies? It appears not. Army's schedule, meanwhile, is ranked 137th in the country, and their best victory is over North Texas. Quarterback Bryson Daly is 13th nationally in all-purpose yards because they run that Army offense that can be quite boring. That being said, I like Notre Dame to cover this one. I think Army gets a tough dose of reality this weekend. Give me Notre Dame minus the 14.5 in this one. And then any other year you hear Alabama, Oklahoma, you're going, oh, this is one of the best games of the year. Well, Oklahoma's down bad. So the number 7 Crimson Tide are 13.5-point favorites at Oklahoma. If you believe the Oklahoma can win this one, you can get them +425 on the money line. Over-under on this one is 47.5. Alabama is entering this game having won 3 straight against Missouri, LSU, and FCS Mercer. Come on, Alabama. Why are you scheduling those teams? By a combined score of 128-20, covering those 3 straight games. Ever since that Georgia game, Alabama found its groove back again. Oklahoma has lost 4 of its last 5. Its lone victory in that span was against FCS Maine, and it hasn't beaten an SEC opponent since Auburn in late September. Oklahoma has lost their last 3 SEC contests against Texas, Ole Miss, and South Carolina, and they were hammered by a cumulative score in those 3, 95-26. Alabama is averaging 471 yards of offense over its last 3 games. Get off the track. The Crimson Tide are coming through. Give me Alabama minus the 13.5 in this one. Kind of a sad, pathetic year for Oklahoma. That being said, let's recap some of the bets. I cooked up a really spicy parlay in this one for tonight's Thursday night football action. The Bet365 people don't even want me putting this one out there because it's plus 1,400. And it's very simple. The Steelers to cover the 3.5, a David Njoku anytime touchdown, and a Najee Harris anytime touchdown. That's not too much to ask. A little 14-1 action on that? How could you not love that one? So that's what I'm rolling with tonight. I put it in last night when I was doing my prep. My college football bet this weekend, give me Indiana. I'm excited to watch this game. I'll take them. I just think that one's kind of a fun bet more than anything else. Plus, Ohio State tends to, in big games, have some real nail biters. So give me the Hoosiers plus the 13.5. And then finally, sorry, Army, Notre Dame's not going to have any mercy on you. Riley Leonard's going to run all over the place. And give me the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to cover the 14 at home against Army. So there's some of my bets for today. I wish you all the best in your bets. And remember to check out Bet365. Enter that promo code PHLY365 at sign up. You can get yourself $150 in bonus bets that hopefully we can roll into some more winnings. And of course, one of the best things that Bet365 does is their early payout offers. Whatever the criteria is in Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, or NHL, once you hit that number, you can get cashed out right on the spot. You don't even have to wait till the end of the game to collect your winnings. Bet365 has your back. And remember, sports gambling is supposed to be fun. So if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, you can call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's have some fun. Let's be educated bettors out there. Let's try and win some of Bet365's money tonight and on Saturday. PHLY Bets will be back on Sunday with the full slate of NFL games coming up. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and let's make some money. Root them in.
We all silly like the mayor.